As far as Khadi is concerned, my own practical experience is that the Khadi board does not have sufficient number of centers, especially in the areas which are the most backward. For instance, in the Sundarbans area, which has only one crop a year and which is actually very poor and backward as far as industrialization goes, we find hardly any centers, either purchasing or training centers. The other thing we note is that the individual who is spinning at home does not know where to take the yarn because there is no publicity or propaganda to help the individual spinners to go and sell their yarn, with the result that although large amount of subsidy are being given by government, it is not going to the help of the majority of those who are today wanting some form of cottage industry employment. That is why I feel that it is very essential now that it is being done on a national scale that government purchasing and training centers should be opened in the areas which are most backward, so that we may not notice this type of shortfall at a time when in every village to which you go, the women, especially the agricultural laboring women, crowd round you and ask you how you are going to give them some form of employment. The other thing I want to stress is the question of village industries. This is especially a thing in which a certain amount of research is also required. In these areas, I am afraid nothing has been done, although we approach the industrial development again and again. Nobody in the village knows who is the competent authority to tell them how to approach government for help, for research, for the result of research, for production centers, for training, or for marketing. If we go to the sub-divisional officer, he is not able to tell us. The whole thing is in such a state of flux that actually the money which is being given is not being utilized by the people who are starving due to unemployment. Some of them have the technical skills also. Some are anxious to find new ways and methods of developing these industries. Yet that is not being done, and I am afraid it is one of the biggest drawbacks of this entire ministry, and it should be removed very quickly. I think one of the reasons why this shortfall is taking place is a big difference and gap between the sums of money for which we are budgeting and passing in this house and its actual utilization and reaching the masses who are so eager for employment and who are suffering from so much poverty due to unemployment. I am in sympathy with the observations made by the previous speaker because, as one who has been connected with one of these boards, I have felt a lot of difficulties in expediting the work and spending the money allotted. I feel that the whole organization does require modification so far as the organizational aspect is concerned. It is known that the government's method of doing anything is rather slow and tardy. The procedure is very difficult and prolonged. And here we have to deal not with one particular section of the people or industry fixed at a particular place. The whole activity is spread over the villages, long distances, and families whose condition the non-officials are in the best position to know and appreciate. Here, the secretary, the deputy secretary, or the under secretary is sitting in some office, or the deputy minister or minister is sitting somewhere surrounded by secretaries and deputy secretaries. He knows their point of view only. He is obsessed with certain formalities, etc. He is not obsessed with the condition of the poor people, and their difficulties are not realized so much as the difficulties of the secretariat. That is the real problem, and that has to be tackled. As a matter of fact, the question of having a statutory body has been hanging fire for a long time. The Khadi and Village Industries Board consists of a very good set of people who are very enthusiastic, who are people with missionary zeal. They have been doing this work all their life. They are on this board, but they find themselves handicapped because they cannot function independently. They are tied down by so many rules and regulations and all kinds of forms and formalities. We must trust these people who have devoted their life to this work. Their main aim in life has been to work for these people. It is high time that we made this body a statutory body. I understand that such a demand had been made by them, and I hear that even a bill had been drafted for that purpose. I would like to know why nothing has been done so far in that direction and why it was ignored. The Government of India should take immediate action in the matter. Madam Chairman, I am glad that we are having a debate on the European Common Market. I wish that it had taken place earlier. Had the Parliament been in session when the Minister of Aviation of the UK visited Delhi, it would have had an opportunity for arming government with its views, thus helping it in formulating the statement, but at any rate indicating to the world at large that Parliament is fully behind the Finance Minister in the statement that he has made. The statement that has been made by the Finance Minister is admirable both in content and in tone. The problems that face us as a result of the emergence of the common market of Europe cannot be bypassed. Whether we like it or not, the future is with continental economies. And the emergence of the European Common Market of Europe is one of the steps in this direction. No one can deny the stakes that we have in the matter of entry of the United Kingdom into the common market of Europe. I have done some research into the actual position of our trade, and I think it would perhaps help the House to estimate the magnitude of the problem that is facing us. We are importing 35% of our imports from Western European, including UK. We are exporting about 40% of our goods to this area. We have a large interest in the outcome of UK's entry into the common market and the terms on which she proposes to enter into the common market. In the present circumstances, we cannot visualize what the terms will be, but we know that our stakes are great, and we have already indicated our deep interest in the terms which the UK would be able to negotiate. But having made our standpoint clear, it would be unbecoming of us to do anything else except to be prepared for all eventualities. I want the House to realize that while undoubtedly this is a great challenge, we ought to be prepared and not content ourselves with giving expression to certain views which might give the impression to the outside world that we are in a state of panic. To suggest, for instance, that the pattern of our trade should be changed overnight is not realistic. A changeover in trade is no solution. My honorable friend Shri Krishna Reddy pointed out that our balance of payments was not unfavorable with Germany. I know that it has been unfavorable, and while partly this is due to Germany imposing very high tariffs, let us realize that we have had to depend for aid and capital from the developed countries, notably Germany, and as such our balance of payment is bound to be unfavorable. It has been recommended by my friend that we ought to think of the pattern of trade being changed so that the Eastern European countries might be our main customers. Before us, the advantages of rupee credit and rupee payments are dangled. I want to sound a note of caution. While it is true that from the point of view of our immediate difficulties, rupees payments offer a solution in this sense of imports not being a current draft on our foreign exchange resources, we ought not to suffer from the delusion that we are getting something for nothing. Nor can we think that these rupee payments which are made may not work to our disadvantage. I do not propose to go into this question today, since the issues that